All right, good evening. This is the June 1st, 2022 Cottage Grove City Council meeting, which I'm calling to order. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, will the clerk please do the roll?
Councilmember Kambata?
Here.
Councilmember Dennis?
Here.
Councilmember Thiede?
Here.
Councilmember Olson?
Happy to be here.
Mayor Bailey?
I'm here. Next on our agenda is open forum. This is the opportunity that if anybody wants to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda is welcome to do so at this time. We did have a sign-up sheet out in the entryway, but sometimes people miss that, so I just want to check with the audience. No one was signed up, by the way. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak on something not on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
Motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dennis, seconded by Councilmember Thiede. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 6 is presentations. We have 3 distinctive presentations tonight. The first one is the 2022 Historic Preservationist of the Year Award, and Mike Morosla is going to take us through this one, and then council will join him down in the front here in a few minutes. Mike, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Advisory Committee on Historic Preservation annually nominates a person or an organization who goes above and beyond to promote an aspect of Cottage Grove's history. And at its May 10th, 2022 meeting, the ACHP nominated and voted to recommend that City Council award the 2022 Historic Preservationist of the Year Award to the, okay, I screwed up every time.
Acacia.
Apologize. Acacia Masonic Lodge 51, based on the lodge's 2020 site restoration project and ongoing stewardship. Their lodge is located at 11094 70th Street South. It was built in 1866. It was first occupied by the First Congressional Church, and they occupied the site until 1963. Since 1963, the Acacia Lodge has been the occupant of the Preservationist of the Year Award to Masonic Lodge, Acacia Masonic Lodge number 51, in recognition for the restoration project and ongoing stewardship. And that completes my presentation.
All right, so council, why don't you join me down in front, and then do you want them to come up now?
Sure.
All right, why don't you guys come on up from the lodge?
Come forward. You guys want to be right in the...
Absolutely, come on right here. All right, what I think I'm going to do first is you have a partner. I almost said partner in crime, but I suppose that's not the best way to put that, right? Partner of yours that would like to say a few words that's on our city council, and I think you all know who he is.
Thank you, Mayor. And brothers, good to see you. As a member of the lodge, it's with extreme privilege that we have this opportunity tonight to present you with this award on behalf of all of the tremendous hard work and dedication that you guys put into what is no doubt the crown jewel of Old Cottage Grove. The work before and after, the effects are amazing, as witnessed by the pictures that you had. So I want to mention just a couple things here. We want to recognize the late brother Robert Eddy, who had passed a couple years ago, Gordon Eddy, and he had brought forward a $50,000 donation amount, according to the materials that I had. And then his brother presided, and there was a whole bunch of us from council, and I think we had some other elected officials that showed up too for the dedication of that, that really made a difference in helping to bring this thing forward and to fruition. Additionally, several of the brothers, in particular, Mr. Lloyd Cheney, who's joining us here tonight, and Mark Simmons, who is not here, made an additional donation of $3,000 to the cause. And there was a very hands-on and dedicated small group of brothers that came out and just performed incredible work to bring this thing to happen. Folks who are talking 4,000 hours worth of labor, which is just amazing when you think about it. It's a labor of love is what it is. Additionally, there were over 200 hours of professional painting services that were brought forward. So what we have is something that will serve not only the local masons well into the community in future, but also act as an example of how people can come together and make a difference and make something beautiful happen. So I thank you as a member of the lodge, and the community here thanks you at large, and obviously our presentation or our preservation committee also thought very, very highly of the work that everyone done. So it was fantastic, and we appreciate that. Let's give these guys a little applause.
So before I present you with the plaque as Preservationist of the Year award, I did want to mention it is kind of interesting that I've had the opportunity to be in the lodge, not a member of the lodge, but to see some of the artwork and the pictures. And I did notice in the lodge there's quite a few, what I'll say, former city council members or township members and things like that could go a long way back. And there is also kind of sometimes in a city of growth of growing at our rate of speed right now, there's this feeling sometimes that maybe some of the older parts of our community or our older buildings, historic features are getting neglected. And when I say neglected, either by us or maybe by whoever's owning the building, and I want to say that couldn't be further from the truth. The City Council is very supportive of the Historic Preservation Committee, as well as trying to preserve as many of the older architectural features that we can within our community. And obviously your building is one of those, as you heard, but at the same time you actually put some extra money into it to make sure that it looks the way it does today. And then my last thing before I read the plaque is I cannot wait until this fall's spaghetti dinner. So that meat sauce is amazing. So I just wanted to say that. So looking forward to the next event. Had the opportunity a couple weeks back or a month or so back to do the pancake breakfast. So thank you for all the work that you do for our community. So I'm going to read this. It just says the Cottage Grove City Council and the Advisory Committee on Historic Preservation present the 2022 Preservationist of the Year Award to Acacia Masonic Lodge number 51, awarded June 1st, 2022, in recognition to the 2020 Lodge Restoration Project and ongoing stewardship of the locally designated historic landmarks. So again, on behalf of myself, the council, the staff, and all the citizens of Cottage Grove, thank you for preserving our history, and congratulations.
I would just say, Mr. Mayor, if all you have to do is ask one of us, and we could proceed with a petition.
There you go. Again, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, John.
Absolutely.
Enjoy yourself, okay? You got her.
Absolutely.
If I caught that, I think that was an invite, wasn't it?
It was an invite. And the whole community is invited too, so.
There you go. All right. Well, that's an awesome way to start the meeting. The next one is another amazing thing, and this is a Meritorious Service Award presentation. And our Director of Public Safety, Pete Kerner, is going to walk us through this one. So Pete, welcome.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, Council, this is a couple years overdue. Very proud to be standing up in front of you here to give this award. We're going to be doing a Meritorious Service Award, and I'll read what that is in a moment. But it's nominated internally, and generally it's just, and then it goes to our roundtable, and they vote on it. And our roundtable has representatives from every crew. In this case, it's been about every 3 months, someone walks up to me and says, "We should do a Meritorious Service Award for," so it's been on and on. Well deserved. So I'd like to read the Meritorious Service Award, or what it is, and then just kind of go some highlights of it too. But a Meritorious Service Award is granted to any member of the department for an outstanding accomplishment that substantially improved operation and has gone far above the requirements of the member's normal assignment. The Meritorious Service Award may also be given for an outstanding performance that has brought credit to the department. And tonight's Meritorious Service Award is to Deputy Director Greg Renzel for his work on the Hero Center. And just a reminder to everyone, I know the council and Mayor, you've all been supportive, you're well aware of this project, but the Health and Emergency Response Occupations Training Center, HERO, is owned and operated by the cities of Cottage Grove and Woodbury. Construction started in 2018 and was substantially completed by late fall of 2019. The facility became fully operational in early 2020. The HERO Center is a regional, state-of-the-art, immersive training center for police, fire, and emergency services, EMS, and the center is also staffed with 2 full-time employees and roughly the 12 part-time employees that do the range safety. So this has been a decade of work. This idea came back in 2012. So we've already seen significant success. Recently we had Rasmussen join also in the with the post-secondary. They do the police skills here. We have a lot of federal agencies that have contracts with us. Our tier 1 member, we have the sheriff's office. So with Cottage Grove, it's just an outstanding facility. One of the key things we keep talking about during budgets, we're talking about recruitment, we're talking about retention. That building next door, that's a key to our success. And Deputy Director Renzel, he's very humble. We've had ribbon cuttings, we've had different ceremonies up there. We've all shaken hands. But it was really Greg Renzel and Chris Meinert that really took the lead on this project. And I can tell you, from the different project team meetings, I know Jennifer, back in the day, you were part of all of that too. So it's been a team effort, and Greg has never stood in front of us and bragged about it or anything. And we just both have been officers together here for 28 years. And I know when we think back on our career, this will be one of those things that Greg should be most proud of. Although if you ask him, he'll talk about maybe a kid he helped or someone he coached in lacrosse. And I will throw that out too, that COVID was a big part of me not getting this award to him sooner. But every time I said, Greg, next week we should do this award, and he'd be like, well, I'm coaching lacrosse. He always had something in it. But I'm glad he's finally able to do this. So, but I just wanted to kind of go through just real quickly, and I don't know how to do this justice over 10 years of process, but so all started in 2012 when Director Woolery, he was approached by, at the time, Dan Schoen and Senator Sievent, and they were persistent. They kept coming to the director and saying, we should have a regional training center. We need one in the East Metro. Let's get some partners on board. I joke about this because I know when Craig first brought it up to us, he looked at me as one of the captains and Captain Renzel, and he's like, hey, I need someone to take the lead. Well, I stared at the ground just a little bit longer than Greg, and he broke. But this is his passion. He started as a use of force instructor, I think, when 1997, maybe, Greg, somewhere in there. So this has been his thing, and it continues to be his thing. So this is a big vision, and it really became it really was a team. But first, we were awarded nearly $2 million to start the planning project. Then we were awarded $10 million to pay for part of the project. During the process, Greg was one of our main people that testified at the Capitol, and he, like I said, he was assigned to pretty much every work group that we had in this. So he'll always say it was a group effort, but it was really him and Chris Meinert that were really the steady on this. So it's everything. It was the concept, the design, the business plan, construction. And he was even a part of hiring our Hero Center manager, who was outstanding. We lured him back to Minnesota from Tennessee. So he's been a part of everything with that. So I really because of his dedication, leadership, and hard work on the project, the Hero Center is finally a reality, and it's not just a dream. We've had the soft opening in 2019. January of 2020, we did the ribbon cutting. It's just been an outstanding facility. And it's kind of funny, not funny, but with everything that's gone on, we talk about the post mandates now. In the last 2 years, they're mandating de-escalation. 2012, Greg was already talking about, we need a de-escalation room. We need that simulator. We need, the different training components. So it really was, ahead of its time, and it serves the metro, the state, and, Midwest. We've also had federal agencies coming from across the country, and it's pretty cool listening to them talk about what a great facility. So with that being said, I'd like Greg to come up. front with the council. I do have his Meritorious Service Award. I'll read to him. Or if one of you would like to, read it to him? Sure. Yeah. You get tired of listening to me talk the whole time, so thank you. I put it in a larger font.
Good.
Thank you.
My eyes, don't you? All right, before I read this Meritorious Service Award, I think I might remember, did you have hair before the Hero Center started? That's why Pete still has hair, is because he looked on the floor. You did not. All right, so I'm going to read this. A Meritorious Service Award is granted to any member of the department for an outstanding accomplishment that substantially improves operations that have gone far above the requirements of the member's normal assignment. The Meritorious Service Award may also be given for an outstanding performance that has brought credit to the department. Presented to Deputy Director Greg Renzel on this first day of June 2022. In 2012, the Director of Public Safety was approached by local legislators with the vision of partnering on a public safety training facility in our area. With a big vision in front of them, it was tasked to Deputy Director Captain Greg Renzel to make it a reality. After countless meetings and securing solid partnerships, the state awarded Cottage Grove and Woodbury nearly $2 million to start planning the project, and in the following legislative biennium, they were awarded another nearly $10 million of matching funds to finish the project. Deputy Director Renzel met with and testified for elected officials at the state legislature and our mayor and city council to obtain and maintain support for this project while funding was secured. After funding was secured, it was up to Deputy Director Renzel to turn the empty field into the Hero Center we see today. Because of Captain Renzel's dedication, leadership, and hard work on this project, the Hero Center is a reality and not just a dream. And this was obviously signed by Director of Public Safety, Pete Kerner. So, there you want to give him your...
This is yours. This is your Meritorious Service Award. We can't thank you enough for everything that you've done, not just as part of the Hero Center, but for the department. And I know that there were lots of people involved, and you always like to stand in the back and, don't take a lot of credit, but you definitely deserve this award this evening, and we thank you very much for your service.
Absolutely. Let's give Greg a round of applause. You want to say anything? There we go.
So training has been my passion. The director said it very, very eloquently. I started it in 1995 with the director, and in 1996 I actually signed up to be the use of force instructor's throwing dummy. So I didn't know what I was getting into, but after year one, I learned how to. All the defensive tactics moves were basically on me on the mats in front of everyone else. But I knew that if you put yourself out there as an officer to learn more, you actually not only improve yourself, but you improve the entire operation and the whole organization. And that's something we've moved forward with the whole time. Back when I got promoted to a sergeant, I talked to the then captain, and I said, he's like, well, what are your goals and aspirations? And I said, literally, I want Cottage Grove Police Department to be the best trained in the state, if not the nation or the world, and we need to do things in order to prepare our officers to give them the tools, the training, and the equipment they need to be successful for our residents and for themselves and for the community and in at large. So that's kind of been my goal and dream. It's taken a few years to get there, but this was drawn up on a napkin at an establishment. And it's funny how that napkin came forward, and it's a reality for us, and it's really kind of a great thing. If you don't know, the Minnesota Post Board holds our licenses. We're required 48 hours every 3 years. I'm just very proud that we have a facility located in our backyard, and that facility allows us to train well in above that 48 hours every 3 years. Matter of fact, our yearly training for the most basic officer is over 96 hours per year, in addition to any other duties that they have. So if you're on SWAT or mobile field force or an instructor, that's in addition to those hours. So on average, our officers received about 150 hours every year when it's required for 48. That's not by mistake, that's by design. That's something we've worked on very long and very hard to ensure that our citizens get the protection that they deserve and get the protection that they really are asking for from law enforcement. And I think we do a very good job of that, and that's from the top to the bottom, with the council allowing us to go forward with a grant, knowing that this was a huge undertaking and a large amount of money. We went forward and just kind of put our foot into the water and said, we're going to the deep end. And I thank the council for their support moving forward with this vision and this dream and making it a reality and really making Cottage Grove a place to work and the community a really safer place because of the center. So thank you.
Fantastic. Good job.
You want some pictures of Jill on there? I can. Yeah, come on up. No, this doesn't happen without support at home. She's good? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Two things real quick. One is I know Dan Schoen, who's our Community Affairs Officer now, I guess, who was at the time one of the instrumental parts of getting the funding, will happen to be in here too. So we want to thank Dan for the support that he had, Katie Sieben in that. I know he ran out quick, but you could pass the log if he doesn't catch it. And the only other thing I want to mention, it's interesting to me, Greg and everybody involved, he was, and you guys were, and gals were dreaming of things that are like old hat now, or things that need to be done right now, like use of force training, de-escalation techniques. All that we're years ahead. So when anybody ever talks about what's happening around the country, or even around our own state, I always can hold us up as the example of the light beacon of what great looks like, and the fact that we were already ahead of the game on this. So congratulations, and thank you, Pete, and thank you for recognizing Greg. All right, our last presentation this evening, which is a pretty fun one, and that is the Cottage Grove Community Night at the Saints game. And Julie Pryor Miller is going to take us through this one. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. All right, good evening. Like the mayor said, my name is Julie Pryor Miller, and I am the Communications and Marketing Specialist for the City of Cottage Grove. Within that title, I also work on a variety of projects for the Cottage Grove Convention and Visitors Bureau, also known as Discover Cottage Grove. Part of Discover Cottage Grove's strategic objectives is to help with the development and implementation of promotional programs to ensure positive economic impact for the city of Cottage Grove. This winter, Discover Cottage Grove partnered with the St. Paul Saints organization to promote the city and tourism to our city by hosting a Cottage Grove Community Night at the St. Paul Saints game coming up here in a few days on June 11th. Discover Cottage Grove will have a booth presence on the concourse of CHS Field that night at the game, promoting tourism to Cottage Grove and to all who attend the Saints game that night. It's also no surprise that we chose that date, June 11th. While there, Discover Cottage Grove will be promoting the Strawberry Fest, the city's largest event of the year, enticing those out-of-towners who are at the game to come and see our beautiful city, wonderful amenities, and have fun while they're here. With that being said, I just want to invite everyone here tonight and those watching from home to come join us at the Cottage Grove Community Night, June 11th, at the St. Paul Saints game. And if you're looking at home or up on the screens, there are ways to sign up to get tickets. And I just wanted to note that if you use the portal for this link, $2 for every ticket sold will go back to our local Lions Club. That concludes my presentation.
Fantastic. Council, anything you'd like to add? Yes, Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. As chairperson of this particular group, I've been very impressed and appreciative of all the hard work put in by the staff team. And I think this is a really cool idea and fits well within the scope of what we're doing to try to put Cottage Grove on the map in a really great way. So thank you for that hard work, and we look forward to seeing lots of folks come out that night, and we'll be there having a little booth available to provide information and promote our community, which is really what it's all about. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, also Councilmember Thiede.
And in terms of Strawberry Fest, everybody could actually get their shirts. If you just go onto the Strawberry Fest website, you can get either a black background or a red background, and everybody could have their shirts on, and we'd look so neat. So get your shirt, and then get excited about Strawberry Fest too. So
There we go. All right, any other council members? All right, thank you, Julie, for putting that on, and again, thanks to the Discover Cottage Grove group for sponsoring this event with the Minnesota Saints, and looking forward to a great event that evening. Thank you.
it's St. Paul's.
Or St. Paul Saints, sorry. I call them Minnesota Saints, thank you. All right, next on our agenda is consent agenda. Is there anything council would like to pull on consent this evening? If seeing none, I will look for a motion to approve consent.
Approve consent.
We have motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have second? Second. Second by Councilmember Kambata. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So if anybody was here or wondering about anything on tonight's consent calendar, all of those items have been approved. Number 8 is approved disbursement. 8A is to pay the bills.
Motion to pay the bills.
Motion by Councilmember Dennis, second by Councilmember Olson. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9 is public hearings. We do not have any this evening. 10 is bid awards. We do have 2 bid awards this evening. The first one is the Goodview Ravine Stabilization, and our Public Works Director, Ryan Burfine, is going to walk us through this. So welcome, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So last Thursday, we took bids on 2 projects. The first one I'll talk about is the Goodview Ravine Stabilization. So this is a ravine that's just west of Goodview Avenue, and it goes south of 70th Street down towards Highway 61. We had a resident reach out some time ago that brought to our attention a lot of erosion issues, a lot of problems going on with that ravine, bringing the sediment down the hill and down towards Highway 61. And this is a ravine that actually takes water from the city and the county. Mostly Cottage Grove, it's about an 80-20 split on the water that comes off of 70th Street versus some of our city streets. And we also got a watershed district grant to pay for half of this project that's already been approved by the watershed. So that was exciting as well. We did take our bids last Thursday. The low bid by Pembroke Companies was just a little bit above our engineer's estimate, but really, close in that range. We did have 5 bids overall, which was good to see. And considering the grant we have and the cost share with the county, that additional about $4,500, there's no concerns with staff. We have the funding, on our part to make up that difference. Like I said, these just a little bit over, but still good bids to see this late in the year. And it's kind of a challenging little project to get in that ravine and do this work. So we are comfortable with the bids and moving ahead with Pembroke Companies. They actually are the contractor who did the Oakwood Park project last year. So very recently doing work in town. And we do have 3 recommendations tonight, because with this project, working with the county, there's a cooperative agreement for maintenance to talk about how's this going to be maintained in the future and who has the cost for this ravine, and also a cooperative agreement for construction that just details out that cost split and how that's paid for by the county and by the city. So the 3 recommendations are on the screen. I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Council, any questions for Ryan at this point? All right, you did a good job putting through it. So again, if council would like, we have 3 different motions to complete this evening. Who would like to take motion number 1?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Councilmember Kambata.
I motion to adopt Resolution 2022-100, awarding the Goodview Ravine Stabilization Project to Pembroke Construction, Inc. for the base bid amount of $282,685.50.
All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Kambata. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Dennis. Any further discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like to do number 2?
Just keep moving down the
Yeah,
line here.
go ahead.
Okay, Mayor, I'll make motion to approve the cooperative agreement between the City of Cottage Grove and Washington County for maintenance of the stormwater outlet in the southeast quadrant of CSAH 22 and Goodview Avenue South.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Dennis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thiede. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. And number 3?
And I will move to approve the cooperative agreement between the City of Cottage Grove and Washington County for construction costs of County State Aid Highway 22 drainage improvements.
So we have a motion by Councilmember Thiede, second by Thiede, second by Councilmember Olson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to B, which is South District Street and Utility Improvement Project Bid Award. And Ryan, you have this one too.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. So we took bids last Thursday as well for this project. This is the extension of Hadley Avenue down to 105th Street, which is being built by North Point right now, and then the realignment of 100th Street down to 103rd Street. This is a project that was necessary for 2 recent developments that were approved preliminary plat for Preserve Prairie Dunes and Greymont Village, along with several other undeveloped parcels in that area that need a second access point per fire code, which is provided by this Hadley Avenue extension. It is a city project because it does have a lot of benefiting parcels. Those parcels did sign deferred assessment waiver agreements, so as they are developed, they will pay the assessment amounts that will pay back a large portion of these project costs. And that realignment of 100 Street and 103rd, that's following the County Southwest Arterial Study. It is a 2-year project. We'll start really down by that Preserve Prairie Dunes this year, and that realignment of 100th and 103rd is really a 2023 project. There's quite a few private utility relocates to be done. That'll take place towards the end of this year, and the street work can really start next year and have that completed. So with that, we had 4 bidders on the project. This one was under our engineer's estimate. We had good favorable bids. Northern Lines Contracting was that low bidder at just under $6.8 million versus the engineer's estimate of just over $7 million. And with that, we are recommending award of the project tonight to Northern Lines Contracting. Some of their past history, they did a handful of the Summers Landing projects on the city side, the city component to the street utilities. So they've done, different projects in town in the past. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Okay, council, any questions for Ryan on this one? All right, seeing none, I guess we have one resolution on this case. Who would like to take that one? Mr.
motion.
Kambata.
I motion we adopt Resolution 2022-101, awarding South District Street and Utility Improvements Project to Northern Lines Contracting for the base bid amount of $6,700,774,652.86.
There we go. Motion by Councilmember Kambata, second by Councilmember Dennis. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is the regular agenda, which is number 11. There isn't anything tonight, so we're already down to council comments and requests, and I'll start with Councilmember Kambata.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to highlight, again, our wonderful park system. In the last couple of weeks, it's been nice. I've gotten out on the trails. I got to use the disc golf course at Oakwood Park for the first time. It's fantastic. And we have 2 parks that are currently getting new playground equipment, and we've got a few more parks coming online. Anybody who's interested in getting some input on those parks that are coming up, if they go on our city's website, they can fill out a survey and make sure that council and staff are seeing some of their needs and wants for these new parks that are coming online.
Fantastic. Now, you're not going to tell us how you did at the disc golf?
I'm still learning.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Councilmember Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to take a quick moment to recognize and share some appreciation with some of our staff members who assisted quietly behind the scenes and helped us to have a really great Memorial Day ceremony here. I'm going to start with Communication Manager Jen Longacre, who was there working with our friends from SWCTC and sweating out the details to make sure that everything was spot on for us. Did a great job. Second to that, I want to mention that we had some assistance from Dennis Neitz and some of his staff down at River Oaks who brought up chairs and assisted with some tents and other things that we had available there to take care of people. And last but not least, we, as I mentioned that day, this thing doesn't happen without the support of our public safety team. So Police Chief Kerner, Director Kerner, you and your staff, as always, distinguish yourself with a great job of assistance. Thank you for that. There were a substantial number of fire and police personnel, EMS personnel that were there as well. We appreciated seeing them. Additionally, I wanted to give a special thank you to the two gentlemen that took care of colors for us, and that was Pat Nickel and Ed Weber, and they did a great job. Both have served in the military and are well deserving of being there to perform that role. So I thought it was exceptional, and as I like to say when I relate to service, service can never be properly performed unless humbly given. And so this is the level of service that our folks perform every day. So from myself to you and all the rest of us who were part of the event, thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Let me move on to Councilmember Thiede. You have something you want to share?
Sure.
You kind of did already a little bit, but
I know I did a little bit, but I just can't stop talking about how neat Strawberry Fest is going to be. It's been a few years. Everybody's excited. We've got so many different participants. We've got, I think there's over 80 booths in the Strawberry Fields Marketplace with a variety of things that informational and that you can buy. We've got the bands. We've got wrestling this year, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. This is the first year we've done it, but there's actually a local person that's a kind of an organizer in Midwest Association of Wrestling or something like that, Ma. And I mean, supposedly we got people coming in from all over the place. We had a reporter from New York or something called to ask about it or things like that. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting. Fireworks, parade, just all the food vendors and just everything. It's going to be fantastic. And we're down to the point now that we're counting the days. Pretty soon we'll count the hours, but the days. So it's 14 days. That's 2 weeks, and things start on Thursday, and with like the tractor pull for the kids and other things, and then Friday and Saturday, and I've heard that we're going to have. Well, I shouldn't say it, but
don't dare. I knew where you were going with that. Don't dare.
well, you know what? If we just all keep smiling, we're definitely going to bring and keep the sunshine there, if not just for the smiles, right? So make sure that you all mark your calendars and make time available to come check out Strawberry Fest.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Thiede. Councilmember Olson.
Thank you, Mayor. We've seen a lot of really fun recognition this evening, and in the spirit of that recognition, I wanted to take a few minutes here to touch on some what I consider to be pretty special events that have occurred in the city over the last few weeks. First and foremost, I want to take a moment to thank my friend and colleague, Councilmember Steve Dennis, for once again organizing a tremendous and very respectful Memorial Day event, which took place here at City Hall on Monday. We weren't really too sure about the weather, but we made it through. It was okay. We had some fantastic guest speakers, including Federal Representative Angie Craig and Trista Mattis Castillo from Ramsey County. She's the board chair of the Board of Commissioners there and also a veteran. But the entire event went off without a hitch. And Steve mentioned that there are a lot of unsung heroes behind the scenes, and that's absolutely true. But what I will tell you is, as a member of the Mississippi River Valley Beyond the Yellow Ribbon team, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is making sure that we pay our due respects to those who deserve it. And certainly Councilmember Dennis deserves it for organizing and emceeing a wonderful event. So I want to thank you for that. I also wanted to take a moment to recognize all of the seniors at Park High School and Eastridge High School and Woodbury High School and high schools around the state who will be graduating this year, including my daughter, Rose, will be graduating. It's pretty awesome to see these young people as they go through, you know, from kindergarten, or in my kids' cases, pre-kindergarten, ECFE, up until they hit that graduation day. I have a friend who likes to say that the hours are long, but the days are short, and that's a fact. I can't believe it, that it's already here, but I've had the opportunity to meet so many of the wonderful young people who are going to get their diplomas, whether it's through coaching or volunteerism or different events over the last few years. And I can tell you right now, our future is very bright here in the city of Cottage Grove. We've got some amazing young people who are going to be graduating this year and going on to bigger and better things, whether it's college or trade school or whatever the case might be. So congratulations, seniors, and to your families. You all deserve it. I also want to take a moment here to recognize an email that we received regarding one of our newest police officers. In fact, he's not even riding alone yet. And this is Officer Evan Davick, who, again, happens to be a Park High graduate. Not that, you know, I take a lot of pride in that, but as a Park High graduate myself, it's something that I like to bring up. Evan's mom is also a Park High graduate. She went to school with me. Evan is still in what we call field training. So he's working with a field training officer or an FTO. And recently there was a call that we received information on from a former police officer by the name of Ray Caban, who lives here in town. And I just want to read this email because Ray says it so well. I can't say it any better than he, and I don't want to miss anything. It says, and this is to Chief Kerner, Dear Chief of Police Kerner, you often hear complaints and likely not many praises. Today, 5/19/22, Officer Evan Davick, badge number 122, and his FTO responded to a person in crisis call. As a former police sergeant with the Rochester Police Department, I have seen and worked with horrible cops, amazing cops, and everything in between. I've responded to many person in crisis calls and know firsthand how they can go from good to bad in a split second. As a former detective, so this gentleman was not just a police sergeant, but also a detective, I've also seen the aftermath of responding to a crisis call where it's too late, and you must now deal with the trauma of a deceased person. Enough about me and who I am, and let us get to the reason for this letter. I know that Officer Davick will forget this mostly routine person in crisis call because of how many you deal with during a police career. However, I will never forget this call. This call will stick with me for the rest of my life. I write this letter while tears run down my face, as I am forever grateful to Officer Davick, his FTO, and the Cottage Grove Police Department for hiring him. Officer Davick was courteous, responsive, and most importantly, calm. Officer Davick kept me informed before, during, and after the call. I was not at the scene, but know from personal experience that many people responded, and that includes Pat Young from our CMU unit, Jude Torning, who's also an FTO, Ed Weber, his FTO, and then, of course, Evan's FTO, who I'll mention here momentarily. So again, Officer Davick relayed information to me which gave me such a sense of relief and made me feel like everything would be okay. It turns out that everything worked out. The person in crisis, my aunt, was helped, and of significant importance, her life was saved. I want to be very clear about my last sentence. Officer Davick, his FTO, and other first responders saved my aunt's life today. I credit everyone who responded for saving my aunt's life. However, I must tell you, Officer Davick and his FTO fulfilled their oath as police officers, forever grateful, Ray Caban. Now, Scott Shaver is the FTO. And what's interesting is, shoot, I remember when Scott was a new police officer and he was going through training. It's just amazing to me, as we talked earlier, about all the training that our people go through. And I know that Captain Renzel talked about, making sure that we have facilities available, equipment available, et cetera. That, those things all come to light when we have situations such as these where a life is saved because we provide that training and we're so selective with our hiring. And, Evan's a young man who came up through our police reserve program. I know he worked in the city of Woodbury as a community service officer and has done just some amazing things. And I couldn't be more proud of the work that our entire public safety team does, but it's always nice to be able to share those neat letters. And then on the heels of that, today, got an email from our community engagement officer who was here earlier for Captain Renzel's presentation, and that is Dan Schoen. And what he wanted to indicate was that in June of 2015, the Public Safety Board, and I know, Mayor, your wife is a member of the Public Safety Board, and the Cottage Grove Lions, which is a club that I belong to, Chief Kerner belongs to the club as well, donated funds to purchase an AED at the Cottage Grove VFW. Well, last night, and this means last night, that defibrillator was used in combination with a bystander providing CPR to once again save a victim of cardiac arrest. So all of the various things that we talk about when it comes to, serving the public, whether it's facilities, whether it's equipment, whether it's personnel, I want everybody to know that there's a primary reason that we all believe so strongly in that, and that is we want our residents to feel safe. We want our residents to have the benefit of well-trained personnel. And when it comes to the AED, we want people to have the benefit of the necessary equipment when a crisis strikes, so that at the end of the day, we avoid tragedies like we did with Evan Davik's response and like we did with the response last night at the VFW. I tell people all the time, if you're gonna get sick, Cottage Grove's the place to do it because the chances are pretty good that you're gonna get a really quick response with some highly trained people who are gonna make sure that you're okay in the end of the day. And just wanted to share a couple stories that illustrate that. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Councilmember Olson. And I have a couple items just want to bring up, and it's kind of interesting. There's a little bit of a theme going on today with, what we do within our community, whether it's festivals, whether it's memorial events, whether you were commenting earlier about the parks. I thought I'd mention, as we look forward here into June, July, and August, it's interesting, we have a lot of parks that somebody helped us get started, like the bike park or the dog park and so on. And we had an individual who ironically bumped into me at Hy-Vee a couple months ago that says, you know what, I think we need to have movies in the park, and needed to fundraise to get movies in the park. So between her fundraising, getting groups together, and working with our staff, with Molly and such, and Zach, we will have our first movies in the park on Wednesday, June 22nd, at Highlands Park, and that is obviously at dusk. So I know there's going to be food trucks and such there too, so there's going to be an opportunity for food and an opportunity to have some fun with your family out at Highlands Park. So, and again, there'll be one for the once a month for the next 3 months. And I again just want to acknowledge the fact that we have a citizen that kind of brought that forward to get that rolling. The other item I want to mention is this kind of evolves a little bit around business, but I want to acknowledge once again, and I know Councilmember Thiede was commenting about Strawberry Fest and all the businesses and the groups and such, and the organization that goes to make that happen, and also the different businesses and such that donate. And I also want to acknowledge, the 4th of July fireworks would not be happening, honest to gosh, just like the Strawberry Fest would not be happening if it weren't for volunteers, but also for businesses stepping up to provide the funds to help make that happen. And so I did want to once again publicly acknowledge 3M, Renewal by Anderson, Hy-Vee, Tennis Sanitation, and North Point, which is which I'm going to talk about here in a second, development group. All of them donated $5,000 each to create a $25,000 fireworks show. And I do know that there's other groups or individuals that have been putting money into that too. And I should also just make my little plug for the Lions, and that is the Lions are kind of putting it all together. They're setting it all up. So again, all of these are local businesses that are here in Cottage Grove that are wanting to make a difference within our community. Which leads me into the other item. We had two things happen last week. One is we had the official groundbreaking for North Point development here in Cottage Grove. And if anybody drives on the other side of the highway off of 100th and Ideal, you'll see that they're moving some dirt and doing things to get that project ready. That is a major project within the state of Minnesota. Now, some people might think, oh, that's too big for Cottage Grove. I would say, no, they searched us out, and it was kind of interesting for the public. I'll just share real quick. One of the things the CEO, the president and CEO of the company had mentioned is they were kind of scouting out Cottage Grove well before we even knew that they were interested in Cottage Grove, because we were told through him that everything was supposed to go north. No one wants to go south, go north suburbs up that way. And they did their research and all that, and they said, no, Cottage Grove is where it's at. And he used the analogy of a date. He said first date went well, second date went really well, and eventually, as he said, the city of Cottage Grove and North Point got married. That was the analogy that he was using. And the reason I bring that up is this company is going to be making over $300 million investment in our community, creating over 1,800 new jobs, creating additional tax base, not just for the city of Cottage Grove, but for the school district, which people always, oh my gosh, they got all these kids and we got to grow the school. And I don't know if the true number is the true number. What I mean is I've been told it's going to be more than that, but on average, as this is built out, the school district will receive over $1 million a year in taxable revenue that'll be flowing into the school district. And so will, by the way, the city of Cottage Grove. So as this project gets off the ground and continues, what's the other interesting thing is North Point isn't just walking away, from this project. I know Councilmember Dennis, you had mentioned even that to a couple different people that they don't just build it and then walk away. They actually continue to manage it, which seems to be the thing now. We're hearing that more and more in our park, which the other thing that North Point has shared with us, other than that you heard me mention earlier about those details, but I think sometime in the near future we'll have some really exciting news to announce to the public about how vested they want to be in our community. So I wanted to share that with the public. And then at the same time, what they're doing is they're bringing additional people that are starting to follow them into our community. And he told me that directly, that is happening. So as you see other development happening in our business park or eventually in our commercial areas, you can attribute a large chunk of that to be actual coming from this development in North Point, which leads me to my last point, and that is Jennifer Levitt, our city administrator, our EDA director, Gretchen, Councilmember Dennis, and I had the opportunity last Sunday through Tuesday to attend the ICSC convention in Las Vegas. The last few years, they haven't had it because of COVID, so this is the first year back after a few years. And all I would share with the public is there's a couple of key takeaways, I would say. One is we had some amazing contacts, and we're really able to market the city in a way that in the past, I felt at some point where we're out there trying to talk to end users or developers to say, hey, we want you, can you come to Cottage Grove? We really want to work with you, and so on and so forth. Where we were going up to a lot of these places and talking to a lot of these people and developers that had already searched us out and said, hey, we want to talk to you. We have an idea, or hey, a particular map we had, Jennifer knows this one, particular map we had some parcels on it, and we had it for sale, and the one particular person said, don't mark that one off, take that one off, because we're purchasing that for something. And so it's those kind of things that were happening out in the ICSC convention. I will share with you, a lot of times we can't share everything because it's very early, as a lot of people know. As all of you know, we've been waiting how many years for Pizza Ranch, which I know we had COVID. But the fact is, sometimes these things take time. But I assure you, we're doing all the follow-ups. This council is fully vested and interested in continuing the follow-up. I would say at some point in time, we will do another Facebook Live event in the not-too-distant future where we will have the opportunity to share with the public what is going on with regards to some of the context and things, and have some great, I think, some great announcements to make. I know that you had spoke earlier, but you were there with us. I don't know if you wanted to share anything else, Councilmember Dennis.
I would, thank you, Mayor. And we had, we had some very long and hardworking days out there. And I think Jennifer may have been a little surprised with just how hard we work and going nonstop. Not only doing that, but also taking care of our city booth that we had as an open and welcoming opportunity for people to come up and introduce themselves to us. So we actually met with over, I believe it was well over 25 different entities. And so, you know, based upon community feedback and you know, business investor feedback here locally, we knew there were several key areas that we were looking for, and one of them was lodging. So we made a lot of great presentations and contacts with those folks and planted seeds, which is what you do when you're in that process of sales. But I agree with you. There were multiple entities out there that said, you know, we're actually aware of you.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. So I felt really good about the time that we spent out there, and I thought it was very productive. And we'll sit back and see what happens. And the Facebook Live will do that here coming up when we have a few more details on how things shake out. And then one of the things that I did is I grabbed a number of site selection sheets from different investors. And so this is an opportunity where I can kind of spin this in to something that we can use as a teachable moment for the community. Again, helping folks to understand you don't just put a little water on the seed and it happens. You've got to get some dirt in there and some fertilizer and other things and work it. So there's a lot of different requirements and key strategies that those investors have for deciding where they want to go. So I think this will be very beneficial for people to understand and see that come together.
No, I agree, and that is kind of the last thing I'll just mention on that, other than I do know that there's also a lot of things that happen, or a lot of discussions that are had, or things that are working, as our staff knows very handedly, things that are kind of working through the different stages. And believe me, when we can make announcements on this council, we'll be more than happy to share with the public, because it'll be an exciting time for all of us, so.
What I'll mention too, one of the cool surprises we had was from the group called Colliers. And so what they had is they had done a first quarter financial report, and they had Cottage Grove listed as one of the up-and-coming communities to keep your eye on. So when I've talked over the past few years about the fact that we were the talk of the town, whether it was you know, Minneapolis St. Paul Business Journal, East Metro Strong, you through your work on TAB, people that are aware of the work that we're doing, Metro Cities, things like that, we have really come a long way. And it's all been at the behest of the community, and you know, which continues to indicate, I think it was over 90%, that they're happy with the direction of the community. So we're aiming to sell that happiness, right?
Absolutely.
That's the tagline, so thank you.
All right, before I end, I will just share one more thing, and I think our staff got this, I'm not sure if all the council did, but we did get our, what they call our preliminary population estimates for 2021. And I know Councilmember Dennis is very keenly aware that, you know, once you hit that 40,000 mark, that's why I think we're getting all this interest now. Our actual 2021 population in Cottage Grove is 39,605 people. Nice. So we're right at the cusp of that 40,000 mark to really get, I think, into the fun part where a lot of restaurants and things will be looking for Cottage Grove as a new home.
Councilmember Kambata added one more recently, just to make you guys aware. So we're growing.
One more home, you mean? All right, there we go.
One more person.
Oh, one more
Yep,
person,
yep.
yes, a new child, yes, absolutely. Yeah, no shameless plug there from you. All right, any other council comments or requests? All right, next is 14, which is a workshop. Oh, I'm sorry, workshop open to the public is number 13. There is none this evening. 14 is a workshop closed to the public, which we are going to have this evening. We were supposed to have it last time, but we had some of us that were out, which is the City Administrator Performance Evaluation. And I'll just mention here, because we'll be moving to the conference room, it says we will be closing the meeting pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D05 subsection 3A, to conduct a performance evaluation of our city administrator, Jennifer Lovett. And then we will be adjourning from the conference room. So everybody have a great night, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.